Why is China attending a meeting of Muslim leaders? That's the question many are asking after this photo emerged. That there is Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan. Over there is the Saudi delegation. And there, standing to the right, is Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, the guest of honor at this month's summit at the OIC, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. This has angered a lot of people, most of all the voices of Uyghur Muslims, who've been trying for years to highlight what they say is a genocide by China against their people in Xinjiang. By now, it's been well documented that more than 1 million Uyghurs have been detained by Chinese authorities and held in large camps for holding so-called extremist ideas. China calls these re-education camps, but human rights organizations and many governments, including the United States, call them concentration camps, meant to strip the Uyghur people of their identity and Islamic beliefs and instill in them absolute loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party. But in 2020, 45 countries signed a statement praising China's counterterrorism and de-radicalization measures in Xinjiang. They included Bahrain, Egypt, Iran, Iraq, Morocco, Pakistan, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Syria, the United Arab Emirates, and Yemen, all Muslim countries. A year earlier, the OIC had voted on a resolution thanking China's government for providing care to its Muslim citizens. This is why Muslim countries are being accused by Uyghur activists of turning their backs on the plight of the Muslim minority. They include Turkey, which previously championed the cause of the region it calls East Turkestan, but is now accused of deporting and silencing the Uyghur community in Istanbul. They also include Saudi Arabia and Egypt, who've quietly detained and deported Uyghurs seeking refuge in their cities. They also include Pakistan, which hosted the OIC summit and invited China's foreign minister to attend. Imran Khan spoke at the summit, saying this:
Honorable foreign ministers, we have failed both the Palestinians and the people of Kashmir. We are 1.5 billion people, and yet our voice to stop this blatant injustice is insignificant.
But no mention of the Uyghurs. Last year, when MEE asked him about why he hasn't spoken up, he said this:
They want us to criticize what's happening to the Uyghurs. We have spoken to China. The Chinese are given an explanation what is happening there. And our relationship with China is such that we have an understanding that between us we will talk to each other, but behind closed doors, because that's the nature, the culture.
China has long refuted reports of human rights abuses in Xinjiang, which date back to 2013, when Chinese officials were accused of stopping Muslims in the region from praying and fasting during Ramadan, putting up surveillance cameras outside their homes, and placing security officers in their homes to keep tabs on their religious activities. Today, multiple human rights organizations say China's abuses against the Uyghur population amount to genocide.
新疆地区从来就不存在什么种族灭绝、强迫劳动和宗教压迫。这些耸人听闻的说法，源于无知和偏见，纯属恶意的政治炒作，与事实完全相反。
So why has the reaction from the Muslim world been so muted? Well, it probably has a lot to do with trade. China is Turkey's second biggest trading partner, with more than $32 billion worth of imports and exports. Saudi Arabia is China's biggest trading partner in the Middle East, with more than $67 billion of imports and exports. In fact, a quarter of Saudi's exported oil goes to China. Egypt isn't far behind, with a trade partnership worth more than $14 billion. Many of these countries form a key part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, cementing its vision to become the economic superpower in Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. And it knows these countries desperately need its importing power. None more so than Pakistan, which now relies on China for not just trade, but political and diplomatic support, particularly in opposition to its rival India. Under a free trade deal, Pakistan saw a 70% increase in exports to China in 2021. And under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, China is building a network of roads, trains, and infrastructure that will allow Pakistan to become a key access point to the world's second biggest economy. To put it in Imran Khan's own words,
China relationship is 70 years old. And it is probably one relationship which has stood the test of time. We were going belly up. It was China who helped us. And so therefore, you always remember those who helped you in your difficult times.
Which brings us back to the OIC summit, where China was invited by Pakistan to speak. Just days earlier, the United Nations passed a resolution declaring March 15 as the International Day to Combat Islamophobia. That resolution was spearheaded by Imran Khan and quietly backed by his ally China. Of all the aforementioned countries, the only one that spoke on the Uyghur plight was Turkey's foreign minister.
Uygur Türklerinin durumunu görmezlikten gelmek doğru mu? Müslüman devletler bu ülkelerle sorun yaşasın demiyoruz. Tam tersine. İyi ilişkilerimizi Müslüman toplumların durumunu iyileştirmek için kullanalım diyoruz.
But when the guest of honor, Foreign Minister Wang Yi, was invited to speak, he received overwhelming applause. He told the OIC that China and the Islamic world had found a, quote, path of friendly coexistence, and that it was investing over $400 billion in nearly 600 projects across the Muslim world.
Thank you, Excellency, for your insightful remarks. We are grateful indeed for your gracious presence.
So where does this leave the Uyghurs?
Normally, when you hear the word Islamic or Muslims gathering, you would expect people to hold on to the Sunnah and to the way of the Prophet ﷺ, upholding justice, calling out oppression, calling out tyranny. So for them to have their foreign minister show up to the largest meeting of Muslims is, I'm shocked. It's like stabbing us in the back. We're your brothers and sisters. It's like you're inviting the murderer to your house while they are murdering your brothers and sisters. It's a total betrayal.
The World Uyghur Congress said in a statement that China's presence at the OIC was proof of its coercive influence among Muslim-majority countries. China is promising the Muslim world a bright future, one full of endless trade contracts, warm diplomacy, and a seat at the table in the China century. But at what cost?
We are afraid that Muslim leaders are asleep or are purposely ignorant of what China is doing to their fellow brothers and sisters for some economic gain.
Seduced by the increasing sway of the Chinese yuan, has the Muslim world turned its back on the Uyghurs?